Shah Alam II, famously called the Blind Emperor, ruled the Mughal Empire during its turbulent decline. Known for his poetic talent and title, Shah-e-Bekabah, his story symbolizes the fading grandeur of a once mighty empire. King Shah Alam II was born on June 25, 1728 in Delhi. At that time, Delhi was the center of the Mughal Empire. He was the son of Emperor Alam I and Empress Nawab Bai. Both of his parents came from a long line of Mughal rulers. As a child, Shah Alam lived in a grand palace. The Mughal court was full of art, music, and important people. But it was also a time of trouble. The empire was facing many problems. There were fights between different groups, and many wanted to take control. Even with these challenges, Shah Alam learned about his rich heritage. He watched the customs and ceremonies of Mughal life. His family taught him important values like honor, loyalty, and duty. These lessons would help him as a king later on. Shah Alam faced tough times, including the loss of his father. But these experiences made him stronger. His early life was a mix of privilege and hardship. This shaped the man he'd become. Shah Alam II was born into a wealthy family, but his education wasn't just about living in luxury. It was a tough training to prepare him for being a king. His teachers taught him that knowledge and leadership were very important for a ruler who governed a big and diverse empire. Shah Alam learned from many smart scholars and tutors. He studied history, philosophy, and the arts. His lessons included languages like Persian, Arabic, and Urdu. This helped him talk to different people in his empire. His mentors were chosen carefully. They were wise and had a lot of knowledge. They taught him to be just and honest. They also showed him that a king should be strong but also kind. He learned about military strategy and past battles. This knowledge helped him make important decisions as an emperor later on. Shah Alam also learned about the rich culture of the Mughal Empire. He attended many courtly events. There he saw how diplomacy and statecraft worked. This experience helped him understand the many different people in his land and the need for balance between power and responsibility. His education wasn't just about books. It included lessons on morals and ethics. It was important for Shah Alam to understand the weight of being a king and the legacy he'd carry. As the Mughal Empire started to fall apart, Shah Alam II faced many big challenges. His leadership was tested as he tried to keep the empire strong. There were many fights for power among the nobles and governors. This made the empire weaker. The nobles felt they could do whatever they wanted because the empire wasn't strong. At the same time, outside dangers were growing. The British East India Company was getting more powerful. They wanted to take advantage of the Mughal Empire's problems. This made it hard for Shah Alam II, as he'd to deal with many tricky situations. His alliances were often weak, and loyalties changed all the time. Shah Alam II wanted to bring back the glory of the empire. But many nobles didn't want to give up their power. They often tried to go against him. Even though he worked hard to take control, things kept getting worse. On top of all this, Shah Alam II faced personal losses. His family was in danger and he felt betrayed. All these problems made it hard for him to lead. In 1759, Shah Alam II became the ruler of the Mughal Empire. Even though the empire was facing many problems, his rise to the throne brought hope. Many people wanted to see the empire become great again, but Shah Alam II had a tough job. The empire had lost land, and powerful groups were trying to take control. As a young emperor, he inherited a broken kingdom. He knew he'd to work hard to gain the trust of his people. Shah Alam II faced strong opposition from nobles in the court and threats from new powers outside, but he didn't give up. He made important alliances and won the support of key nobles. They saw that he could bring people together. Shah Alam II was a brave leader. He inspired his soldiers with his charm and determination. He wanted to bring order back to the empire. To do this, he started making changes. He worked to fix the government, fight corruption, and encourage trade. His skills as a diplomat helped him deal with rival groups and create temporary peace. Shah Alam II's rise to power was an important moment in Mughal history. Many people look to him as a symbol of hope during hard times. His reign would be known for his efforts to regain lost lands and restore the empire's strength. Even though challenges were ahead, Shah Alam II's spirit set the stage for a significant and exciting time in his rule. Shah Alam II was a Mughal emperor during a time when the Maratha Confederacy was becoming very powerful. The Marathas were a group of states in India that worked together. They wanted to take control of more land, which made it hard for the Mughal Empire to keep its strength. Leaders like Shivaji and the Peshwas led the Marathas. They were clever fighters who used guerrilla tactics, which means they surprised their enemies and fought in small groups. The Marathas also had a good way of managing their lands and people. This helped them grow stronger and gather more soldiers quickly. As the Mughal Empire began to weaken, the Marathas took back many areas that were once under Mughal rule. Shah Alam II was in a tough situation. He wanted to bring back the power of the Mughal Empire, but the Marathas kept resisting him. He tried to make peace through talks, but the Marathas were determined. This led to many fights between the two sides, which caused more problems in the region. The rise of the Maratha Confederacy changed the balance of power in India during Shah Alam II's time. It was an important moment in Indian history. The Mughal Empire struggled to hold on to its influence as new powers like the Marathas began to take over. The Battle of Buxar happened in 1764. It was an important event for the Mughal Empire in India. The Mughal emperor was Shah Alam II. He fought against a group of British soldiers and their allies from Bengal and Oudh. The British East India Company wanted to control more land in India, and Buxar was a key battle for them. Shah Alam II had just returned to the throne. He wanted to bring back the Mughal Empire's strength. The battle took place on October 22nd. The British were led by Major Hector Munro. They faced the Nawab of Bengal, Mir Qasim, and the Nawab of Oudh, Shuja-ud-Dawla. Even though the Nawabs had more soldiers, they didn't work well together. Their plans weren't strong. On the other hand, the British soldiers were well trained and used smart strategies. The British won the battle. This victory was very important. It led to the Treaty of Allahabad in 1765. This treaty gave the British control over Bengal. It also gave them power over the Mughal Empire and its lands. The defeat at Buxar was the start of British rule in India. The Mughal Empire lost a lot of its power. Shah Alam II became a figurehead. He'd to rely on foreign powers. The future looked hard for the Mughal Empire as it faced many challenges in a changing world. After the Battle of Buxar, the Mughal Empire faced many problems. King Shah Alam II was forced to leave his throne and go into exile. The British East India Company became very powerful in India. They took advantage of the weakened Mughal Empire. In 1764, Shah Alam fled to Awadh, but he was in a tough spot. The British wanted to control more land and made him a puppet ruler. During his time in exile, Shah Alam tried hard to regain his power. The British offered him fake protection but really wanted to take over. They brought in their own officials and took charge of collecting taxes. This made it hard for the emperor to rule. His power faded as he watched his empire fall apart. In 1765, Shah Alam signed the Treaty of Allahabad. This treaty gave the British control over Bengal and Bihar. In return, they said he could still be the ruler of the remaining Mughal lands. But there was a catch. The British took a lot of money and resources, leaving the emperor poor. King Shah Alam II was a ruler during a tough time. His power was getting weaker and he wanted to make strong friends. One way he did this was by marrying the Nawab Begum of Oud. This marriage happened in the late 1700s. It was a smart move to connect with important leaders in the region, especially as the Mughal Empire was fading. The Nawab Begum was very clever and knew a lot about politics. She brought wealth and power to the marriage. The wedding was a grand celebration, showing the rich culture of that time. It was like two strong families coming together. This union was meant to help Shah Alam II gain respect and strength. By marrying into the Oud royal family, the king hoped to get help in the form of soldiers and resources. This support could help him try to get back the lands he'd lost. This alliance was also important for building friendships with local leaders. The Nawab Begum helped Shah Alam II connect with these leaders, making sure they'd remain loyal to him. Over the years, this marriage became very important for the king. It helped him keep some power during difficult times. Shah Alam II understood that making allies was vital for his survival. His union with the Nawab Begum of Oud showed how much he wanted to hold on to the fading glory of the Mughal Empire. Shah Alam II was a Mughal emperor who wanted to be king in Delhi again. He'd a special marriage to the Nawab Begum of Oud, which helped him a lot. He was away from his throne for many years. Now he wanted to return with help from the British East India Company. The British wanted to be strong in India, so they thought it was a good idea to support Shah Alam. In 1772, Shah Alam took big steps to go back to Delhi. The British gave him soldiers to help him fight against his enemies. This partnership was very important for him. The British saw Shah Alam as someone they could control. They wanted a king who'd keep things stable in the region while also protecting their own interests. When Shah Alam entered Delhi, it was a big moment for the Mughal court. Many people were happy to see him back. They missed the days when the Mughal Empire was strong and glorious, but there was a problem. Shah Alam wasn't really in charge. The British held most of the power and made the important decisions. This meant that he was more of a figurehead than a true king. Even though he was back on the throne, things were different now. His rule was affected by the British, and this changed how power worked in India. Shah Alam II was the Emperor of India, but his power wasn't what it used to be. The British East India Company had taken control of India. Even though he'd the title of Emperor, he was more like a puppet. The real power lay with the British. Shah Alam II had a tough job. The British made many decisions without asking him. They wanted to control everything. This made it hard for the emperor to show he was still important. He tried to keep his authority by taking part in ceremonies and reminding people of his royal family. He wanted the nobles and the people to support the Mughal legacy. But this wasn't easy. The British were strong and organized, making it hard for him to succeed. Even with these problems, Shah Alam II's time as emperor was important in Indian history. He became a symbol of resistance against British control. He worked hard to keep his dignity and heritage alive. His meetings with British officials showed how complicated the situation was. He had to find a way to deal with them while trying to protect his empire. This time changed the Mughal Empire forever. The Mughal dynasty was once a great empire in India, but in the 18th century it faced many problems. There were fights for power within the empire. These fights made it hard for the rulers to govern well. Different groups tried to take control, and this caused confusion and corruption. The rulers in the center struggled to keep control over faraway places. Many provinces started to act like they were independent. At the same time, regional powers like the Marathas and Sikhs became stronger. They took advantage of the Mughal Empire's weakness and fought against it. This made the Mughal influence even smaller. The economy also suffered. Heavy taxes and rising prices made life hard for farmers. Many peasants felt unhappy and couldn't pay their taxes. The busy trade routes that once brought in money began to fade away too. In the world outside India, European countries like Britain and France wanted to gain more power. They made smart deals with local leaders and tried to weaken Mughal authority. They set up trading posts and even sent soldiers, which changed the balance of power and pushed the Mughal Empire further aside. King Shah Alam II tried hard to bring back the empire's glory. He wanted to regain lost territories and power. However, he faced many difficulties. Despite his efforts, the empire kept falling apart. The Maratha Empire was once a strong power against the Mughals, but by the late 1700s it started to weaken. This made things easier for Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor. The Marathas had many problems. They fought among themselves, especially after the deaths of their great leaders. This fighting broke their unity and made them weaker. In 1761, the Third Battle of Panipat was a big disaster for the Marathas. They lost many soldiers and their reputation took a hit. After this defeat, the Maratha leaders began to argue and fight with each other. This made it easy for the British to take advantage of their weaknesses. As the Marathas struggled to keep their power, Shah Alam II felt safer. He wanted to regain control and influence in his lands. With the Marathas no longer a threat, he focused on rebuilding his empire. The Treaty of Salbai in 1782 was a key moment. It created a temporary peace and stopped the Marathas from expanding in northern India. In the end, the decline of the Maratha Empire helped Shah Alam II. It allowed him to manage the tricky politics of his time. Shah Alam II tried to bring back the glory of the Mughal Empire, but the truth was the empire was in big trouble. Many problems were making it weaker. There were fights inside the empire, and many local leaders wanted power for themselves. This made the once united empire split into smaller parts, each ruled by different leaders. The economy was also struggling. The Mughal treasury was poorly managed, and there was a lot of corruption. This meant that the empire had less money. Trade routes that used to be busy and safe were now dangerous. With less wealth, the Mughal court, which used to be very rich and beautiful, found it hard to keep up its fancy image. At the same time, foreign powers were starting to take control. The British East India Company, which began as a trading group, slowly took over more Indian lands. This takeover put the Mughal Empire in danger. As the empire got weaker, Shah Alam II became like a puppet ruler, not able to truly lead. Even though he tried hard to regain lost lands and unite the empire, Shah Alam II had a tough job. The decline of the empire was clear. The once great Mughal dynasty was now overshadowed by new regional leaders and foreign interests. Shah Alam II wanted to make his rule stronger. To help with this, he decided to marry the Nawab Begum of Rohilkhand. This marriage was important. It helped him gain power and form new friendships. The Nawab Begum was very rich and had many supporters. Her help was important during a tough time for the Mughal Empire. The empire was facing dangers from outside and problems inside. Shah Alam needed strong allies to protect his reign. This marriage not only made Shah Alam more powerful, but it also gave him extra resources. The Nawab Begum's family connections and her land in Rohilkhand allowed him to get more soldiers and money. This was crucial for the empire's survival. Shah Alam and the Nawab Begum respected each other. She gave him advice and helped him rule better. People in the court liked her, and she was admired by both nobles and common folks. Even though many challenges lay ahead, this second marriage was a big step for Shah Alam II. It was more than just a wedding. It was a smart move to regain his power and bring back the glory of the Mughal Empire during a time of great change. As the Mughal Empire faced many troubles, the British East India Company grew more powerful. The company took advantage of the Mughals' weakened strength and became an important player in India. By the middle of the 1700s, the British East India Company wasn't just a trading group, it also started to govern and get involved in local politics. King Shah Alam II was in a tough spot. At first, he wanted the British to help him take back his throne from his enemies. In 1765, he agreed to let the company control Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. This was a big moment for both the Mughals and the British. The agreement gave him soldiers to help him, but also tied his fate to the company's plans. However, the British weren't just friends. They wanted to gain more land and power. As they took over more areas, they began to pressure Shah Alam II. His power decreased as the British made rules that hurt the traditional Mughal way of ruling. Their heavy taxes and control over trade made it hard for the Mughal Empire to keep its money and strength. In the end, the British East India Company changed how India was ruled, making the Mughal Empire weaker. Shah Alam II's need for the company's help created problems for the future. The balance of power shifted toward the British, which led to the decline of the great Mughal dynasty. King Shah Alam II faced many challenges during his time as emperor, but he still made important contributions to culture. He loved the arts and helped promote literature, music, and beautiful buildings. Shah Alam II knew that culture could bring his people together and keep their history alive. One of the best things he did was support Persian poetry and literature. He was a good poet himself and wrote under the name Alam. His court became a gathering place for poets, scholars, and artists. This was a time when Urdu literature grew a lot, as many poets were inspired by the king's support. Shah Alam II also helped with visual arts. He asked artists to create stunning paintings and decorated books. These works often showed stories from myths and history, highlighting the rich culture of the Mughal Empire. His reign also saw the building of many amazing structures. Even though he didn't have many resources, he found ways to restore and improve important monuments. This helped keep the Mughal style alive for future generations. Through his love for culture, King Shah Alam II made a lasting impact on the Mughal Empire's art and heritage. After achieving great things in culture, Shah Alam II faced a big challenge. He needed to take back control of the Mughal Empire. This empire was once very strong but had broken apart. Many local rulers in the British East India Company were causing problems. Shah Alam II knew he'd to be smart. He needed a mix of talking, fighting, and clever plans. To gain strength, Shah Alam tried to make friends with powerful local leaders. He knew that if they supported him, he could claim the throne more easily. He made deals and promised them some freedom. He hoped these promises would help him. But many local leaders wanted power for themselves, which made his job harder. Shah Alam II also wanted to build up his army. He tried to bring back the old Mughal army, but it was tough. There weren't enough resources and some soldiers weren't loyal. Many had joined local rulers or even the British. This made it difficult for him to win battles. Even with these problems, Shah Alam II didn't give up. He asked his wise advisors for help. Together they worked on a plan to regain control. His hard work showed his strong will and hope. He made some progress, but the threat of a broken empire still hung over him. The revolt of 1857 was a very important event in Indian history. It brought together many different groups of people who wanted to fight against British rule. This uprising is often called the First War of Indian Independence. Soldiers, farmers, and local leaders all joined in the rebellion because they were unhappy and wanted more freedom. One big reason for the revolt was the new Enfield rifle. It was said that the bullets used animal fat, which upset both Hindu and Muslim soldiers. This made them very angry and ready to fight. As the revolt grew stronger, leaders appeared in different places. In Meerut, soldiers started the revolt and marched to Delhi. They wanted to bring back the Mughal Empire. Shah Alam II, the last Mughal emperor, became an important figure in this fight. Even though he'd little power, many people looked up to him and joined the cause. The rebellion spread quickly across northern India. Brave leaders like Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi and Bahadur Shah II also fought hard. At first, the British had a tough time controlling the uprising. The rebels were very strong and fought fiercely, but the British had better weapons and strategies. By mid-1858, they regained control and punished many rebels harshly. After the revolt, the British made big changes. They ended the East India Company and took direct control of India. Even though the revolt didn't succeed, it sparked a sense of pride and nationalism among Indians. It helped prepare the way for future movements against British rule. The revolt of 1857 is remembered as a crucial moment in India's journey toward independence. In 1857, a big revolt happened in India. The Mughal Empire, which used to be very strong, was now weak. Many soldiers and local leaders were upset with British rule. They wanted to fight back. Shah Alam II was the emperor, but he'd very little power. The British treated him like an old statue, not a real ruler. During the revolt, different groups tried to come together under the Mughal flag. They hoped to bring back the glory of the empire, but it didn't work. The rebels couldn't agree on what to do. This made their fight weak. The British army fought back hard. They destroyed any chance of the Mughal Empire coming back. In Delhi, the fighting became very intense. The British bombed the city, causing a lot of damage, and many people got hurt. Shah Alam II was stuck in the middle of all this trouble. He saw his empire fall apart. His title, which once meant power, now showed weakness. Shah Alam II was once a powerful emperor, but his later years were tough. After the revolt in 1857, the British took control of India. They made Shah Alam II a figurehead, which meant he'd no real power. He'd to live with the reality that his empire was falling apart. Even though he lost a lot of his authority, Shah Alam II tried to keep some respect. The British allowed him to keep his title as emperor, but he couldn't make important decisions. He worked hard to help his people by talking to the British and asking for their rights. Once a strong leader, he now had to plead for help. In his spare time, Shah Alam II focused on culture. He wanted to keep the Mughal traditions alive. He invited poets and scholars to his court. They created beautiful art and literature, keeping the spirit of the past alive even when times were hard. As he grew older, Shah Alam II faced health problems. He felt sad about losing his empire and watching it break apart. But he was strong and wanted to protect the dignity of his family. After losing much of his power, Shah Alam II went to Fatehpur Sikri. He wanted to find peace in this old city that was once a great place for the Mughal Empire. The beautiful palaces and quiet courtyards reminded him of how he'd changed. He felt comforted by the remains of an empire that had been a big part of his life. Fatehpur Sikri, with its lovely buildings and calm atmosphere, helped him think about his hard times as a ruler. In this peaceful place, Shah Alam II spent a lot of time praying and thinking. He talked to wise men and scholars who visited. They discussed big ideas about life, leadership, and India's future. These talks helped him feel smart and connected, even though he'd lost his power. Even without his throne, Shah Alam II was still respected by his loyal followers. They came to see him, sharing stories from the past and talking about today's troubles. He listened carefully and offered advice based on his experiences as a king. In these moments, he found new purpose. Fatehpur Sikri became a safe haven for him, where he could think about his life and what he'd learned. While Shah Alam II was in Fatehpur Sikri, his relationship with the British officials became very complicated. At first, he saw the British as friends who could help him take back control of his empire. They promised to support him against his enemies, so he thought working together would help him regain his power. But the British had their own plans. As they grew stronger in India, they started to see Shah Alam as just a tool to help them. Their help often came with many conditions. He soon realized he was in a tricky situation. The British cared more about their own interests, and they made demands that took away his power. Shah Alam II tried hard to keep things balanced. He spoke to the British, hoping to make good deals. But the British officials kept pushing forward with their goals. They often made him sign treaties that limited his power. One important treaty, the Treaty of Allahabad, greatly reduced his control while giving the British more power over places like Bengal. Even with the growing problems, Shah Alam II remained hopeful. He believed that by being friendly, he could make his kingdom safer. But as the British tightened their hold, he saw his dreams of full control fading away. His relationship with the British was an important part of his story, changing both his reign and the history of the subcontinent. As Shah Alam II spent his last days in Fatehpur Sikri, he faced a tough reality. His power and influence were fading away. He used to be a strong ruler of the Mughal Empire, but now he felt weak. The British were growing stronger, and there was fighting among his own people in the court. The beautiful Fatehpur Sikri, once a sign of his great empire, felt empty to him. In his loneliness, Shah Alam thought about the choices he'd made. He remembered the days when his empire was powerful. Back then, he'd loyal advisors and subjects around him. Now, they seemed like shadows. When he tried to take charge, the nobles fought among themselves for power. This left him feeling alone in his own palace. Even though he was losing power, Shah Alam still tried to work with his government. He held meetings with his loyal supporters. They talked about how to keep some control, but he knew changes were needed. As his health got worse, it became harder for him to regain his strength. In those final days, the lively sights of Fatehpur Sikri only reminded him of what he'd lost. The busy market and grand buildings seemed to mock his struggles. Shah Alam II was a great Mughal emperor. He'd a long and difficult life. Sadly, his health got worse over time. He lived in Fatehpur Sikri, where he grew weak from years of trouble and being away from his kingdom. In his last days, a few loyal friends and family stayed with him. They tried to comfort him, but he felt sad about his lost empire. He remembered the days when he ruled over a great and powerful land. Now it was broken and ruled by others. On November 31st, 1806, Shah Alam II passed away. He died in the city where he'd found some peace. His death marked the end of an important time in history. People reacted in different ways. Some cried for their emperor, while others thought it was a chance to gain more power. Shah Alam II is an important figure in Indian history. His reign shows both the greatness and the decline of the Mughal Empire. He lived during a time of big changes in India. He became king of a powerful kingdom, but he also faced many struggles. Many stories about Shah Alam II tell of a great emperor who faced tough challenges. His journey from being a strong ruler to being in exile is very moving. It shows how fragile power can be, especially when faced with outside forces trying to take control. Even though he lost land and power, he tried hard to restore the Mughal Empire. This spirit of resilience inspires both historians and the public. In art and stories, Shah Alam II is often seen as a tragic hero. He struggled between old traditions and the new ways of the world. He wrote beautiful poetry in Persian. His poems express deep feelings and thoughts, letting people today understand his struggles. Shah Alam II's legacy lives on in many ways, like in books and movies. They remind us of a time when the Mughal Empire was very powerful. His life is a touching reminder of India's complex history. King Shah Alam II's life embodies the resilience of a ruler caught in tumultuous times. Despite the Mughal Empire's decline and the overpowering influence of the British East India Company, he remained dedicated to his people and culture. His efforts to restore the empire's glory and his patronage of the arts left a lasting impact on Indian history. Though he faced immense challenges, Shah Alam II is remembered as a symbol of perseverance and hope for his nation. In 1806, Akbar Shah II ascended the Mughal throne, a shadow of its former majesty, reduced to a ceremonial figurehead under British dominance. Known more for his patronage of the arts than for political power, his reign was marked by his struggle to maintain the empire's dignity amidst growing British control. King Akbar Shah II was born into a family of emperors. He came into the world on November 15, 1817. His father was Emperor Akbar Shah I and his mother was Empress Noor Jahan. Akbar grew up in the beautiful Red Fort in Delhi. It was a grand place, but the Mughal Empire wasn't as strong as it once was. As a child, Akbar saw the beauty of Mughal culture. He learned about literature, history, and the arts. These lessons were important for him as he'd one day be a ruler. But things were changing quickly. The empire faced many problems. There were fights inside the empire and dangers from outside. His father's reign ended in 1837. That was when the British East India Company was becoming more powerful in India. This time of change affected how Akbar thought about being a leader. Even with these challenges, Akbar loved the arts. He enjoyed poetry and music. He spent time with scholars and artists, creating a sense of unity in his court. This early love for culture and understanding of leadership would help him as he became emperor. As Akbar Shah II grew up, the Mughal Empire faced many big problems. This great empire, known for its beauty and culture, was having a hard time keeping control over its large lands. Many local leaders started to take power for themselves. This made it difficult for the emperor to rule well. At the same time, there was danger from outside. The British wanted to take over India, and they were becoming stronger. The British East India Company was slowly pushing into Mughal lands and making it hard for the empire to stay in charge. The empire's failure to act against these threats was a big change in its history. The people in the empire were also suffering. Farmers were having trouble because of too much tax. Many people were unhappy and hungry. This led to fights and made the Mughal Empire weaker. Akbar saw how the strong empire he once knew was falling apart. Culturally, the empire wasn't doing well either. The beautiful arts, stories, and buildings of the Mughal Empire started to disappear. The political problems took attention away from culture. When Akbar Shah II grew up, he married Basant Bibi. This was a very important marriage. It helped him make strong connections and showed the mix of cultures at that time. Basant Bibi was a princess from a well-known Rajput family. She brought a rich history that matched the Mughal way of life. Their wedding was a grand event. showed the beauty and wealth of the Mughal court. By marrying Basant Bibi, Akbar Shah II wanted to build strong ties with powerful Rajput families. This was important for keeping peace in the empire. This marriage was a big step for the Mughal dynasty, as it showed they wanted to embrace local customs and traditions. Basant Bibi became an important part of Akbar Shah II's life. She was smart and graceful. She often acted as a close friend and advisor to the king. Together they faced the challenges of court life. Basant Bibi helped Akbar make decisions and often suggested ideas to bring different groups together peacefully. The couple had several children, which helped continue the Mughal family line. Their marriage showed how love, politics, and culture worked together. It was a key part of Akbar's reign. Through this partnership, Akbar not only became stronger, but also helped create a more inclusive empire. From a young age, Akbar Shah II knew he'd important responsibilities as a prince. He understood that his choices could change the future of the Mughal Empire. Born into a famous family, he felt the weight of his history. His father, Shah Alam II, had many challenges during his rule, and Akbar wanted to learn from those times. As a young prince, Akbar was very interested in how to govern and manage the empire. He often went to court sessions, watching how leaders made decisions. He loved to learn about military strategies, knowing that a good ruler should be both a diplomat and a warrior. He studied hard, learning languages, reading literature, and understanding the rich culture of the Mughal court. Akbar also showed great kindness towards his people. He'd visit local communities, listening to their problems and hopes. This hands-on approach made people like him and helped him feel a strong duty to care for them. His time spent with the people taught him how important it's to be empathetic as a leader. The early years of Akbar Shah II were filled with learning, observing, and connecting with his future subjects. These experiences prepared him for his reign, where he'd work to bring the Mughal Empire back to its former greatness, handling the challenges of power with wisdom and grace. Akbar Shah II's second marriage to Mumtaz Mahal Begum was an important event in his life. This marriage made him happier and stronger as a ruler. Mumtaz Mahal Begum was kind and smart. She quickly became loved by everyone in the court for her grace and caring nature. Their wedding happened during a tough time for the Mughal Empire. There were many challenges and problems. Akbar knew that marrying a strong partner like Mumtaz would help him a lot. Their wedding was celebrated with big parties that showed the beauty of the Mughal court. This made Akbar's power even stronger. Mumtaz Mahal Begum wasn't just a wife, she was a helpful partner. She got involved in running the empire. She gave advice and helped settle arguments. Her smart ideas were very important when Akbar faced pressure from different groups and outside threats. The couple shared a strong bond. They respected and admired each other. Together, they faced the challenges of royal life. They created a legacy that would be remembered for a long time. As Mumtaz Mahal Begum stood by his side, Akbar Shah II felt renewed strength and purpose. This set the stage for the challenges they'd face together. In the early 1800s, tensions rose in India as the British East India Company took control. By 1803, the company used both military strength and smart alliances to gain power. This made it hard for local rulers to keep their authority. The Maratha Empire, once very strong, faced many problems. The British saw this chance and moved in to take control. In 1803, the British fought in the Second Anglo-Maratha War. They won important battles in Delhi and Agra. These victories showed how powerful the British army had become. After this war, the British started to directly govern many areas. This meant local kings and queens lost a lot of their power. Akbar Shah II was the last Mughal emperor. He was in a tough spot as the British took more control. The Mughal Empire, which had ruled India for many years, was slowly fading away. The British knew that the emperor was important to the people, so they pretended to respect him, but really they made him a puppet ruler who'd no real power. The actions of the British East India Company changed India forever. They not only changed the way India was ruled, but also created future problems and fights against their control. The effects of their rule would be felt throughout Indian history and play a big part in the fight for independence. Even though the Mughal Empire was getting weaker, the announcement of Akbar Shah II as Crown Prince was an important event in its story. In 1799, after the death of his father, Emperor Shah Alam II, Akbar Shah II began to rise in a time of trouble for the empire. There were many challenges, like the growing power of the British and fights within the empire. Still, being named Crown Prince gave a little hope for the Mughal family. Akbar Shah II became Crown Prince when the Mughal Empire was losing control. The British East India Company was starting to take over many areas in India, making the Mughal rulers less powerful. But Akbar Shah II's rise meant that the Mughal legacy would continue, even if mostly in name. He took on his role during a time of big changes. Akbar Shah II wanted to keep the traditions alive and bring the empire together. Many people believed he could help make things better, and they supported him, wishing for a stronger Mughal empire. As Crown Prince, Akbar Shah II had the hard job of navigating a weakening empire while trying to show his strength. His desire to keep the Mughal dynasty respected would prepare him for the tough challenges ahead as he moved closer to becoming emperor. In 1806, Akbar Shah II became the new emperor of the Mughal Empire. This was an important moment in history. He took the throne after his father, Akbar Shah II, passed away. His father had ruled during a very difficult time. The Mughal Empire, once very powerful, was now in trouble. Akbar Shah II inherited a kingdom that wasn't as strong as it used to be. As he became emperor, everyone was excited. Nobles and courtiers came to the Red Fort to see the ceremony. Akbar Shah II wore beautiful royal clothes. He showed both pride and kindness, knowing he'd big challenges ahead. He felt the weight of history on him. He needed to honor the legacy of his ancestors, who'd influenced South Asian culture for many years. Even though the Mughal dynasty was losing power, Akbar Shah II wanted to bring hope to his people. He wanted to restore some strength and peace to the kingdom. His becoming emperor was a sign of continuity during a hard time. It was also a chance to earn back the respect of his subjects. But there were many challenges ahead. The British East India Company was growing stronger. Akbar Shah II would have to carefully balance keeping the Mughal Empire proud while dealing with the reality of British power. Akbar Shah II was the last emperor of the Mughal Empire. His reign began in 1806. Even though he was called an emperor, he'd many limits on his power. The empire was weak and divided. Many regions were ruled by local leaders called Nawabs. They didn't always listen to Akbar and often did what they wanted. The Mughal Empire, which was once very strong, was now just a collection of small areas. Akbar found it hard to make his commands stick. He couldn't unite the empire or keep everyone in line. The government that used to help the emperor was also not working well. There was a lot of corruption, and people weren't doing their jobs properly. This made it tough for Akbar to bring about changes or manage the empire. During his rule, the British East India Company was becoming very powerful. Akbar had to deal with them too. He couldn't use force to protect his empire, so he tried to talk and negotiate instead. As the British East India Company grew in power in India, Akbar Shah II faced many challenges. The company was already strong. They controlled trade and had a big say in how things were run. Akbar Shah II was a ruler, but he was more like a figurehead. He knew he'd to be careful to keep some power while the British took over more and more. At first, Akbar Shah II tried to be friends with the British. He saw how important they were and wanted their help to show he was a real ruler. The British thought having the Mughal emperor on their side was smart. They used his title to make their own rule seem better. They flattered him and sometimes tricked him, which allowed Akbar to keep a little bit of control in his small area. But even with this friendship, Akbar Shah II's power continued to shrink. The British made rules that affected how he could run things. Still, Akbar wanted to be a good ruler. He took part in local celebrations and kept the old Mughal traditions. This made some people like him. Akbar Shah II was the last Mughal emperor. At first, he wanted to have a good relationship with the British, but soon things started to get tense. The British East India Company grew stronger and took away some of his power. Akbar tried to show that he was still in charge, but the British didn't listen. They made choices that didn't care about what he wanted. Akbar felt trapped. The British wanted to control India, and their actions affected both him and his people. He became frustrated because they treated him like he was just a puppet. They saw him as a figurehead with no real power. As the British took more land, Akbar's role became less important. He felt the weight of his family's history and the hopes of his people. But the British kept pushing him aside. He tried to talk to them and find a way to work together, but they only cared about their own needs. This made both sides unhappy. Akbar struggled to deal with the complicated politics of the time. He found it hard to accept that the British were taking over. In the end, the balance of power changed a lot. In 1813, the British government chose Sir Charles Metcalfe to be the acting Governor-General of India. This was an important decision that changed things for Akbar Shah II, the Mughal emperor. When Metcalfe arrived, he brought new ideas for how the British would work with the Indian states, especially the Mughal Empire. Metcalfe was good at talking to people and understood Indian culture well. He wanted to keep things calm and balanced. He saw that the Mughal Empire was losing power and that Akbar Shah II was in a tough spot. Metcalfe tried to show respect for the emperor while also making sure the British were in control. As soon as he took charge, Metcalfe worked to make British rules stronger. This meant that the Mughal court, where Akbar Shah II ruled, lost some of its power. Metcalfe treated the emperor as a figurehead, someone to be respected, but not really in charge. He made connections with local leaders, which sometimes left the Mughal emperor out of important decisions. Akbar Shah II was already having a hard time with British control. With Metcalfe in power, he felt even weaker. This time showed how the Mughal Empire was struggling against British expansion. Metcalfe's appointment marked a new period where the emperor's authority faced big challenges. The fight over the title of Crown Prince during Akbar Shah II's rule showed big problems in the Mughal court. It also showed that the emperor was losing his power. The main struggle was between two people, Akbar's son, Mirza Jahangir, and his half-brother, Mirza Salim. This rivalry not only revealed family issues but also the changing politics in the court as different groups tried to gain control. The Mughal Empire was facing threats from the British and had problems inside. The title of Crown Prince became very important. Mirza Jahangir was seen as the rightful heir. Many traditionalists supported him because they wanted to keep the royal family strong. On the other hand, Mirza Salim wanted to be Crown Prince too. He got support from courtiers who wanted new ideas and changes. This split made things hard for Akbar Shah II, who was trying to keep his family united while dealing with the tricky politics of the court. Things got worse when people started to talk about favoritism and tricks. There were claims that Akbar was trying to please both sides to keep his own power. These rumors made the conflict even more intense, creating a shaky situation in the palace. In the end, the fight over the crown prince title showed not just the dreams of Akbar's sons, but also the bigger problem of the Mughal Empire losing its strength as it faced challenges from new powers. As the fight for control grew stronger, Akbar Shah II faced big problems. One of his biggest challenges was his son, Mirza Jahangir. In 1812, Mirza Jahangir was sent into exile. He wanted power, but his father, the emperor, wanted to keep his throne. Mirza Jahangir's dreams weren't just about himself. Many people thought he could help bring back the greatness of the Mughal Empire. But Akbar Shah II felt threatened by his son's popularity. He worried that Mirza Jahangir might try to take his place as ruler. This made their relationship tense and difficult. To protect his rule, Akbar Shah II took strong action. He accused Mirza Jahangir of plotting against him. This accusation drove a wedge between them. To keep his power, Akbar decided to banish Jahangir from Delhi. This was a serious decision that changed their relationship forever. Mirza Jahangir's exile took away his royal rights and showed how weak the Mughal Empire had become. It was a sign that there was trouble within the royal family. This event became an important part of the story of Akbar Shah II's reign, a time when the empire faced many challenges. Akbar Shah II wore beautiful clothes like a king, but he mostly had a symbolic role. The nobles and courtiers gathered around him, wanting to keep the royal image alive, even as the real power shifted to the British. Even though Akbar Shah II tried to keep the Mughal traditions alive, the British rule was very strong. The ceremonies, while beautiful, reminded everyone of how fragile the empire had become. The grand celebrations stood in sharp contrast to the problems outside the palace. His court became a place to keep art, music, and literature alive, but it couldn't change how the country was governed. In the end, Akbar Shah II's reign showed how the Mughal Empire changed from a powerful ruler to a figurehead. His focus on ceremonies marked a sad time in history where old traditions met the tough reality of British control, leaving the once great Mughal Empire in decline. Akbar Shah II wanted to show he was still a powerful ruler, even though his power was fading, so he called himself Padshah-e-Hind, which means Emperor of India. This was an important moment for him. He hoped this title would help him look strong to his people and to the world. By using this big title, Akbar wanted to remind everyone of the greatness of his family and the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was once very powerful in India. His announcement wasn't just for show. It was a smart way to get support from his followers. The British were starting to take control of India, and Akbar wanted to show he was still in charge. Even though the title didn't have the same power it used to, it made people feel proud of their history and culture. Akbar held special ceremonies to celebrate his new title. These events were filled with traditional Mughal beauty. They reminded people of the amazing past of the Mughal Empire. Even though Akbar Shah II faced many problems, the title Padshah-e-Hind showed he still wanted to be seen as the ruler of a great nation. It showed how complicated things were in India at that time. The echoes of old power clashed with the reality of being ruled by others. The title Padshah-e-Hind was very important for Akbar Shah II. It showed that he was still the emperor. But soon something happened that changed everything. The British took away the Mughal seal. This seal was a symbol of the Mughal Empire's power in India. By getting rid of it, the British wanted to show that the Mughal Empire was no longer in charge. This was a big disappointment for Akbar Shah II. He loved the history of his family and wanted to keep their traditions alive. Without the seal, he couldn't make important decisions or rule like before. The Mughal court, which used to be a lively place for culture and politics, was now losing its importance. Akbar Shah II could only remember the great times of his ancestors. While the British took control, this change affected not just Akbar, but also the people who'd supported the Mughal Empire. The removal of the seal marked a big moment in Indian history. It showed that the mighty empire was fading away, and a new colonial rule was starting. Even though the Mughal Empire was getting weaker, Akbar Shah II often spoke about bringing Hindus and Muslims together. He believed that the strength of his empire came from its many different cultures. By promoting unity, he wanted everyone to feel like they belonged, no matter what religion they followed. Akbar Shah II thought it was very important to close the gaps between Hindus and Muslims. He called on leaders from both groups to talk to each other. He wanted them to work together on social and cultural projects. His court was a special place where ideas from Hindu and Muslim thinkers mixed together. This created a wonderful blend of thoughts that spread throughout the empire. In real life, Akbar Shah II supported festivals and events that honored both Hindu and Muslim traditions. He knew that sharing experiences could help people understand each other better. Even though he faced many challenges, he stayed true to his belief in treating everyone equally. Through his hard work, Akbar Shah II tried to stop the growing divisions that were hurting Indian society. He dreamed of a united community that could stand strong against outside dangers and problems within. Akbar Shah II wanted everyone in his kingdom to get along. He played an important part in bringing back the Phulwalon Ki Sair festival. This festival was special because it celebrated the shared culture of Hindus and Muslims. At one time, it was forgotten, but Akbar knew it was important for bringing people together. He decided to make it an annual event to show that he cared about everyone. With Akbar's support, the festival became a colorful and lively celebration. There were bright processions, beautiful flower offerings, and exciting cultural performances. People from both communities joined in with joy, showing their shared values and traditions. The streets were filled with decorations and cheerful music, inviting everyone to take part in the fun. Akbar's work not only brought the festival back to life, but it also made it a symbol of peace and friendship. By encouraging both Hindus and Muslims to participate, he helped build respect between them. The Phulwalon Ki Sair became a place for people to talk and understand each other better. Through this festival, Akbar Shah II made a lasting impact on his kingdom. He showed that celebrations could unite people and create a sense of belonging. Akbar honored traditions while also paving the way for future generations to embrace diversity and harmony. Akbar Shah II was a great emperor who wanted peace and love in his kingdom. His third marriage to Mumtaz-un-Nisa Begum was very important. This marriage showed his wish to bring people together from different cultures. Mumtaz-un-Nisa was known for her kindness and smart thinking. She quickly became a favorite in the royal court. This marriage wasn't just about love, it also helped strengthen important alliances. Mumtaz came from a well-known family, and their union helped make the kingdom more stable. Akbar often asked for her advice on important matters. They worked together as a team, showing respect and understanding for each other. Mumtaz-un-Nisa made the court lively and fun. She organized gatherings to celebrate art, literature, and culture. Many artists and poets became her friends because she supported their work. This made the royal court a place of creativity. The common people also felt this joy, and it helped Akbar be seen as a caring ruler. Through this marriage, Akbar Shah II showed that love and unity can bring people together. Mumtaz-un-Nisa Begum played a big role in his reign. Together they represented the togetherness that Akbar valued. Their story left a lasting mark on their time. In the 1830s, Akbar Shah II faced many problems. His health was getting worse, and this affected his rule. He was once a strong leader, but now he'd a hard time keeping control of his kingdom. The British were growing more powerful in India, and Akbar found himself pushed aside. As his health declined, the Mughal Empire also started to weaken. Akbar became less involved in running the state. He'd to depend on his advisors, who weren't always good at handling the tricky politics of the time. Because Akbar wasn't present, a power vacuum formed, and the British took this chance to strengthen their hold in Delhi. Because of this, Akbar's power decreased, and he became more of a figurehead than a real ruler. His health problems also made it hard for him to connect with his people. He used to be a leader who brought everyone together, but now he found it tough to inspire loyalty. People were unhappy, and many local leaders began to rise. The emperor's court, once full of culture and excitement, lost its shine as the British made their presence stronger. Even though Akbar Shah II wasn't feeling well, the British changes in Delhi during the 1830s were very important. These changes aimed to make British power stronger and to modernize how things were run. This changed the way people in the region were governed. The old Mughal ways started to fade away, and the balance of power shifted. The British brought new laws and ways of running the government that made the Mughal power weaker. They created a better organized system which pushed local leaders aside. Many people were unhappy because they felt like their opinions didn't matter anymore. The British also started a new education system. This helped create a group of educated Indians who began to question both British rule and the weakening Mughal authority. The British also built railways and telegraphs. This made communication and trade easier and connected Delhi more closely to the British Empire's economy. However, this change wasn't easy for everyone. Many local people struggled to keep up with these fast changes, which caused tension between them and the British. As Akbar Shah II watched his empire fall apart, the British reforms were both a sign of new times and a reminder that the Mughal power was fading. The changes in Delhi during this time were very important in Indian history. They helped shape the future of how people would be governed and how society would work in the region. As the British made changes that weakened Mughal power, Akbar Shah II worked hard to keep the dignity of his family and what was left of his empire. He knew that the Mughal legacy was an important part of India's history and culture. He wanted to keep it alive in a world that was changing fast. To do this, Akbar Shah II hosted big events at his palace. These events showed off the beautiful traditions of the Mughal court. He filled his palace with amazing art and books. He wanted his people, and even the British, to remember how great the Mughal Empire once was. His court became a place where poets, musicians, and scholars came together to celebrate Mughal culture. Akbar Shah II also worked on building friendships with local rulers and important people. He wanted to unite Indian states against British rule. He believed in the idea of a strong and independent India, where the Mughal identity could live alongside many other cultures. Even though he'd little power, Akbar Shah II showed his strong will to protect the Mughal Empire's dignity. He became a symbol of hope and loyalty for his supporters. His efforts to keep the Mughal legacy alive, even when facing many challenges, showed the lasting spirit of an empire that once ruled much of India. After many years of trying to keep the Mughal legacy alive, Akbar Shah II faced tough times in the late 1830s. The British Empire was getting stronger in India, and the emperor's power was fading. His court, once full of splendor, became lonely and weak. Even though he tried to hold on to his dignity, the reality of his situation loomed large over his final years. In 1836, Akbar Shah II's health started to get worse. He'd many physical problems and felt sad watching his family's power slip away. His once bright court became gloomy as the emperor struggled with the loss of his heritage. He often thought about the glorious days of the Mughal Empire, but found little comfort in those memories. As 1837 drew near, Akbar's health continued to decline and he became more reclusive. Visitors saw that he looked weak and his spirit was low. He knew about the political changes happening around him, but he felt unable to change his fate. The British were gaining more control, further taking away the remnants of Mughal rule. Akbar Shah II passed away in early 1837. His death marked the end of an important chapter in history. It signified the fading of Mughal authority and opened the door to a new and challenging time for India. Akbar Shah II's life reflects the poignant decline of the Mughal Empire, marked by personal struggles and political turmoil. Despite his passion for arts and culture, his efforts to uphold the empire's dignity faced overwhelming challenges from the British East India Company. His death in 1837 not only signified the end of his reign, but also the final chapter of Mughal sovereignty in India. Ultimately, he left behind a legacy intertwined with the rich yet tumultuous history of his lineage. In 1837, as the Mughal Empire teetered on the edge of extinction, Bahadur Shah Zafar ascended the throne, more a symbolic figure than a ruler of power. A poet and philosopher at heart, he was revered for his Urdu verses but lacked the authority to halt the empire's decline. Known as the last Mughal emperor, his tragic legacy was cemented during the revolt of 1857, when he became a reluctant leader of India's first major uprising against British rule. Bahadur Shah II was born in 1643. He was the son of Emperor Aurangzeb and his queen Nawab Bai. Growing up in the Mughal Empire was a grand experience. He was surrounded by beautiful art and rich culture that were part of his family's history. As a child, Bahadur Shah saw how his father ruled. Aurangzeb was a strong leader who focused on the army and followed Islamic rules closely. Bahadur Shah was different. He liked reading and learning about the arts. He often thought deeply about many things. His family supported his love for knowledge. As a prince, Bahadur Shah received a good education. He learned about running a kingdom and how to be a good diplomat. He also appreciated the poets and scholars of his time. They taught him to value the literature of the Mughal court. These early years were very important for Bahadur Shah. They helped shape who he'd become. He'd a royal background and a love for art and leadership. This blend would guide him as an emperor, helping him deal with the changes in his empire while respecting his rich Mughal roots. During Aurangzeb's reign from 1658 to 1707, Bahadur Shah II played an important part in the Mughal court. He was one of Aurangzeb's sons, which gave him a chance to influence what happened in the empire. Bahadur Shah was known for his skills in talking to people and solving problems. He worked through the challenges of his father's rule while also thinking about his own goals. Bahadur Shah understood how to govern well. He tried to make his father's strict policies a bit softer. While Aurangzeb wanted to expand the empire and follow strict religious rules, Bahadur Shah believed in including different cultures. He saw how important it was to bring people together, especially during times of tension. Even though Aurangzeb's military actions often took the spotlight, Bahadur Shah's role was still very important. He helped calm the growing unrest in the Mughal Empire. He wanted to keep the ideas of tolerance and living peacefully together. His advice and actions helped reduce conflicts, especially in places where different religions were causing problems. Bahadur Shah had big dreams of being a great leader, but his plans hit a big bump when his father, Aurangzeb, put him in prison from 1681 to 1695. This time in prison was very hard for Bahadur Shah. His father wanted to keep his power strong and saw Bahadur Shah as a possible rival. Aurangzeb was worried that his son might try to take over, so he decided to lock him away. For 14 long years, Bahadur Shah was kept in a small, lonely place. He faced tough conditions and had very little freedom. He couldn't enjoy the nice things he once had, and he was always watched closely. Being away from the palace made him feel even more trapped. Even though it was a sad time, Bahadur Shah didn't give up. Instead, he used his time in prison to think about how to be a good ruler. He learned about the empire and how to keep it strong. He understood that being a leader meant balancing many different needs. As Aurangzeb's health got worse, a struggle for power grew in the Mughal Empire. This led to a war of succession in 1707. Aurangzeb had been away from the throne for a long time, and this created a chance for his sons to show their ambitions. His death would change the balance of power among them, as they all wanted to be the next emperor. The main contenders were his sons, Muazzam, Azam, and Kam Bakhsh. They moved carefully through tricky political situations, making friends and plotting against each other. Muazzam, who Aurangzeb liked the most, tried to gain support from important nobles and military leaders. On the other hand, Azam was brave and wanted to take the throne by force, thinking that strength would help him rule. As these groups formed, the conflict grew into a tough fight. Betrayals and changing loyalties were common, turning brothers into enemies. The Mughal Empire, once a great symbol of unity, was now close to breaking apart. In the end, the outcome of this war would decide who'd rule next and change the future of the empire. The events of 1707 showed how fragile Mughal politics were and how the desires of royal family members could tear apart an empire that had stood strong for many years. After a tough fight for power, Muazzam won and became the ruler of the Mughal Empire. He took the name Bahadur Shah III in 1707. His crowning ceremony happened in the Grand Red Fort in Delhi. This event was very important in Mughal history. During the ceremony, Bahadur Shah I wore special royal clothes. He'd on the famous Mughal crown. This crown was decorated with shiny gems and beautiful designs. The crown showed his power and the big responsibilities he'd as a king. As he became emperor, Bahadur Shah promised to keep the legacy of his ancestors alive. He wanted to bring unity and stability during a difficult time. Many nobles, soldiers, and leaders from all over the empire came to the ceremony. They were eager to show their loyalty to the new emperor. During the celebrations, Bahadur Shah received blessings from religious leaders. This helped prove he was the rightful ruler. The festivities included music, dance, and lots of delicious food. They showed how rich and prosperous the empire was. Bahadur Shah's rise to power wasn't just about changing leadership. It was also a sign of the Mughal dynasty's strength. His crowning set the stage for his reign. He wanted to restore the empire's honor while navigating a complicated political world. After Bahadur Shah, I became the emperor. The Mughal Empire had many problems. One of the biggest challenges was dealing with the Marathas. Between 1707 and 1712, the Marathas became a strong power. Their fights with the Mughals could make the empire unstable. Bahadur Shah. I knew that fighting the Marathas could make things worse. So he decided to use diplomacy instead. Bahadur Shah wanted to talk to the Maratha leaders, including the successors of the famous Shivaji. He realized that making friends was important to keep control over the large empire. By giving the Marathas some freedoms and showing respect for their power, he hoped to create a partnership. This plan helped reduce the number of fights with the Marathas during his time as emperor. The emperor also sent messengers to the Maratha courts to encourage discussions instead of battles. These talks led to temporary peace agreements. This way, Bahadur Shah, I could focus on other important matters in the empire. Still, the Marathas were careful and sometimes tested the Mughal strength with small fights. In the end, Bahadur Shah Pam's efforts didn't completely remove the threat from the Marathas. However, his diplomatic approach helped to lay the foundation for future talks. By choosing to negotiate instead of fight, he improved relations with a powerful group. This was important for the Mughal Empire to stay strong during a difficult time. From 1707 to 1712, Bahadur Shah II was the emperor of the Mughal Empire. He knew it was very important to have good relations with the Rajputs. The Rajputs were strong allies and played a big role in the empire. Bahadur Shah II wanted to keep peace and support during his rule. To build strong ties with the Rajputs, he made some smart choices. He arranged marriages between Mughal and Rajput families. This helped both sides work together better. It also allowed them to share their cultures, which made both communities richer. Bahadur Shah also respected Rajput traditions. He listened to their leaders and asked for their advice. This showed that he wanted to work together, not just be in charge. By respecting their ways and letting them govern locally, he gained their trust. During this time, many Rajputs joined the Mughal court. They helped with art and building projects. Bahadur Shah I supported these efforts because he believed mixing cultures was good for the empire. When Bahadur Shah I became the emperor, he'd to think carefully about how to get along with the Sikhs, especially with Guru Gobind Singh, who was the 10th Sikh Guru. The Mughal Empire had a mixed history with the Sikh people. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they worked together. Bahadur Shah wanted to keep peace with the Sikhs, so he decided to be friendly and fair. Guru Gobind Singh was a respected leader. He was known for his strong spirit and his skills in battle. He helped the Sikhs become a powerful community. He taught them to stand up for themselves and their beliefs. Bahadur Shah understood that Guru Gobind Singh was important to the Sikhs. He wanted to respect the Guru while still showing that the Mughal Empire was in charge. To build a good relationship, Bahadur Shah took some steps. He allowed the Sikhs to have certain rights and recognize their religious practices. He hoped this would make the Sikhs feel valued and encourage them to be loyal to the Mughal Empire. This approach was part of his bigger plan to keep peace among different groups in his empire. However, there were still some problems. Guru Gobind Singh believed in fairness and justice, which sometimes clashed with what the Mughal Empire wanted. In 1708, a man named Banda Singh Bahadur became an important figure in Sikh history. This was a time when Sikhs were struggling against the Mughal rulers. After Guru Gobind Singh, the leader of the Sikhs, was killed, Banda Singh decided to help his people. He wanted to fight for their rights and freedom. Banda Singh gathered many followers. They all shared a common goal. Together they stood up against the Mughal Empire. Banda Singh became a symbol of courage and strength. He spoke for those who were treated unfairly. His bravery inspired many Sikhs to join him in this fight. Under Banda Singh's leadership, the Sikhs grew stronger. He used clever tactics like surprise attacks to take on the Mughal soldiers. His forces worked hard to free villages from Mughal control. One of his biggest successes was in 1710 when he captured Sirhind, an important Mughal stronghold. This victory showed everyone that the Sikhs were determined to fight for their rights. Banda Singh also helped the poor. He took land and wealth from the rich and shared it with those in need. This made him very popular among the common people. Even though the Mughal Empire would eventually fight back, Banda Singh's rise was an important moment in Sikh history. His actions inspired many others to continue the struggle for justice. His legacy lives on in the hearts of the Sikh community. The time from 1708 to 1712 was very important for the Mughal Empire and the Marathas. This was when Shahu became the Maratha king. After Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire had a hard time keeping control over its large lands. Shahu's rise to power changed things a lot. He wanted to make the Marathas stronger and take more land. Shahu was smart. He used Mughal diplomacy to help himself and his people. He tried to make friends and get good deals from the Mughal court. He wanted to show that the Marathas could stand strong against the Mughal Empire while also being their own rulers. The Marathas, led by Shahu, took advantage of the Mughal Empire being weak. They often fought against Mughal forces to get back land that was lost. During this time, Shahu showed that he could handle the tricky politics of the Mughal Empire. He knew that talking and making agreements could help keep peace, even if it was just a little. As he worked for Maratha goals, the Mughal Empire had to think carefully about how to deal with the growing power of the Marathas. This time showed how power was changing in India. The Marathas were no longer just a group fighting against the Mughals. They were now a strong force that could make important decisions in the ongoing battle for power between the Mughal Empire and the Marathas. After the death of Emperor Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire faced a lot of problems. Kam Baksh, one of Aurangzeb's sons, saw this as a chance to gain power. He wanted to create his own territory and bring together the nobles of the Mughal Empire. Kam Baksh believed he could be a strong leader and unite the people. In 1708, Kam Baksh gathered supporters who agreed with his ideas. They wanted a strong and united rule under him. He wanted to be a rival to Bahadur Shah I, who'd just become emperor. Some Mughal nobles, unhappy with the new situation, thought about joining Kam Baksh. They saw him as a way to regain their power. Bahadur Shah. I understood that Kam Baksh was a threat. He acted quickly to stop the rebellion. He used his own supporters among the Mughal nobles. The situation became tense, and there were battles between Kam Baksh's forces and those loyal to Bahadur Shah. At first, it seemed like Kam Baksh had the advantage, but in the end, Bahadur Shah strengthened his position. Kam Baksh's rebellion didn't succeed, and the empire remained under Bahadur Shah I's control. As Bahadur Shah, I worked to make his rule stronger. The Mughal Empire started to lose its military power from 1709 to 1712. The emperor was busy dealing with problems inside the empire. This made it hard for him to pay attention to military issues that were becoming serious. During this time, the way power was shared in the empire changed a lot. The regional governors, called zamindars, began to act more independently. They often cared more about their own needs than what the emperor wanted. This made the central authority weaker and the imperial army less effective. Many soldiers didn't have enough training or the right supplies. Because of this, they felt less confident and weren't ready to fight well. Bahadur Shah. I also faced problems from other countries. The empire's strong military wasn't able to stop attacks from nearby states anymore. As the empire struggled to protect its borders, it couldn't keep up with new ways of fighting. Local powers began to grow, which caused more problems for the Mughal military. Friendships and rivalries among different groups changed, leading to more confusion. With the empire's military power getting weaker, Bahadur Shah, I found it hard to show strength and keep order. Between the years 1707 and 1712, Emperor Bahadur Shah, I worked hard to manage his relationships with nearby states. He knew that keeping peace was very important, especially since the Mughal Empire was losing some of its strength. To help with this, he wanted to create alliances with other regional powers like the Marathas, Sikhs, and Rajputs. Bahadur Shah. I believed in talking things over. He tried to make friends with local rulers by negotiating and making agreements. He offered some independence to these rulers in certain areas. This way, he hoped to gain their support and reduce any tensions. These diplomatic efforts were crucial for the Mughal Empire to stay important in the changing political world of India. He also sent messengers to nearby states. This helped him talk and share ideas with others. Bahadur Shah. I understood that communication was key to building trust. He wanted to be seen as a leader who respected local traditions and ways of governing. By doing this, he aimed to win more support. However, not everything went smoothly. There were still problems, especially with the Marathas, who'd big plans of their own. Despite these challenges, Bahadur Shah I showed that he understood the importance of diplomacy. His efforts built a foundation for future discussions and relationships that would influence the politics of the entire region. Bahadur Shah, who was an important emperor of the Mughal Empire. He ruled from 1707 to 1712. During his time, he noticed that many different religions were part of his empire. He believed that it was very important for people to get along, no matter what they believed. To make peace among the different faiths, Bahadur Shah created a policy of tolerance. This means he wanted everyone to respect each other. He thought that mixing different ideas from Hinduism, Islam, and other religions could help bring people together. Bahadur Shah. Sami liked to talk with religious leaders and thinkers from various backgrounds. He wanted to learn about their traditions. By doing this, he showed that he valued the rich variety of cultures in his empire. He even included people from different religions in his government. This made his rule feel fair and brought loyalty from his subjects. One of the important things he did was to fix Hindu temples that had been damaged in the past. This showed that he cared about all religions. He also encouraged everyone to join in different festivals. This made a lively atmosphere where people could share their customs and celebrate who they were. Bahadur Shah I's approach to religion helped create a more united empire. He believed that having many different beliefs was a good thing. His efforts to promote understanding and respect between faiths made a lasting difference in the Mughal Empire. His legacy of acceptance is remembered even today. Bahadur Shah. I was an important ruler of the Mughal Empire. He believed in treating all religions with respect. Because of this, many different cultures could share their ideas and art. During his rule, there was a mix of styles. This blend included Hindu, Persian, and Islamic art. Many beautiful things were created, like tiny paintings, detailed textiles, and impressive buildings. These works showed the unique Mughal style, Bahadur Shah. I also loved literature. He invited many poets, scholars, and thinkers to his court. He was a poet himself and wrote poems in Persian and Urdu. His court became a place where people could talk about important topics like philosophy, religion, and art. This led to many great books and writings that added to the Mughal culture. Under Bahadur Shah II's guidance, the arts and literature flourished. This period was like a cultural rebirth, celebrating the empire's many traditions. His reign showed how a leader's ideas could bring people together and strengthen their cultural identity. Bahadur Shah left a lasting mark on history, influencing future generations. His support for the arts and literature helped create a rich, cultural legacy that continued to grow even after he was gone. After the death of Emperor Aurangzeb in 1707, the Mughal Empire faced many problems. The empire became weak, and there was a lot of fighting among the leaders. This made it easier for European countries to try to gain power in India. The British and the French were especially interested in India. They wanted to trade and control important resources. The British East India Company, which was already trading in India, saw an opportunity. They used both talks and military strength to expand their control. They made deals with local kings and tried to weaken the Mughal rulers. On the other hand, the French were also eager to get involved. They wanted to compete with the British for control over trade routes. Both European powers began to interfere in local matters, which led to conflicts. Emperor Bahadur Shah II was in charge during this difficult time. He tried to unite the Mughal Empire and bring back its former strength. However, he struggled to deal with these foreign challenges. His focus on the problems within the empire made it hard for him to see the growing power of the Europeans. This time was very important for the Mughal Empire. The European powers weren't just traders now, they were becoming important players. In Indian politics, Bahadur Shah II's reign showed how difficult it was to keep control in a changing world. In the year 1711, the Mughal Empire decided to stop Banda Singh Bahadur. He was a strong leader of the Sikh rebellion and had become a symbol of resistance against the Mughal rulers. The situation was getting worse, so Emperor Bahadur Shah, I knew he'd to act quickly to restore control. The Mughal army, led by skilled generals, moved quickly to face Banda Singh and his followers. They used a mix of force and clever tactics to weaken Banda Singh's support among the people. The Mughals built strong camps and carefully watched Banda Singh's movements. This helped them stay ahead of him. Banda Singh's forces were brave, but faced many difficulties. The Mughal army had better resources and strategies. They cut off Banda Singh's supply lines and surprised him with attacks on his camps. This made it hard for Banda Singh's group to stay strong. Even though they fought hard, the Mughal pressure was tough to handle. As time went on, more of Banda Singh's followers began to give up or run away. The Mughal army's well-organized approach showed how effective their plans were. By the end of 1711, the Mughal Empire had greatly reduced Banda Singh Bahadur's power. This helped the Mughal Empire become stronger in the region. After fighting hard against Banda Singh Bahadur, Emperor Bahadur Shah faced some big problems. His health started to get worse between 1711 and 1712. As he dealt with different sicknesses, it became harder for him to rule well. This made it tough for his government to keep control. The ongoing wars and unrest in the country made him feel even worse. News about his health spread among the nobles and courtiers. This created worry in the empire. As Bahadur Shah became weaker, some people in the court saw a chance to gain power for themselves. This made his rule even more difficult. The emperor struggled to keep his advisors and military leaders in line. His strong leadership began to break apart as different groups fought for power. This fighting within his court made it easy for his enemies to take advantage of the situation. As a result, some of his important supporters started to lose loyalty. Even though he tried to stay in control, Bahadur Shah found it harder as others tried to take over. His health issues and the rise of rival groups created a tough time for him. This period showed a shift in power within the Mughal Empire. As his reign continued, these challenges would change the way leaders interacted with each other. Bahadur Shah II was the emperor of the Mughal Empire. In February 1712, he became very sick and died in Lahore. His health was getting worse, and he knew he wasn't going to get better. His death was an important moment in Mughal history. It affected the empire and its people in big ways. When Bahadur Shah II passed away, it showed how weak the Mughal dynasty had become. The empire was already facing problems inside and outside. Because he was ill, he couldn't lead well. This caused a power struggle among his children and nobles. After his death, many people wanted to take the throne. This led to fights and disagreements. As news of the emperor's death spread, many people in the court and city felt worried. Nobles and military leaders started to compete for power. They wanted to be next in line for the throne. This showed how difficult things were for Bahadur Shah I in his last days. He wanted to keep the empire united, but it was falling apart. In the end, Bahadur Shah II's death in Lahore wasn't just the end of his reign. It also started a time of trouble for the Mughal Empire. This period would change the future of the empire in many ways. When Bahadur Shah the Faruqi passed away, his body was in Lahore. His three sons quickly started fighting for the throne. They were Azam Shah, Jahan Shah, and Farrukh Siyar. Each brother wanted to be the next emperor, and this caused a lot of trouble in the Mughal Empire. Azam Shah was the oldest son. At first, he seemed to be winning. He got help from many important noblemen who liked his claim to the throne. But his brothers didn't give up. They fought back, and this led to many battles. These battles hurt the empire and made things unstable. Jahan Shah tried to get support from the army. He wanted to take advantage of Azam's weaknesses. Meanwhile, Farrukh Siyar, the youngest brother, worked quietly behind the scenes. He made friends with some important people in the court. As the fighting continued, each brother tried to get more allies. This showed how divided the Mughal leadership had become. Loyalties changed quickly. Friends turned into enemies, making the struggle for power even more complicated. Bahadur Shah I was an important emperor of the Mughal Empire. He'd a tough job because his empire faced many problems. There were fights inside the empire and dangers from outside. But Bahadur Shah, I worked hard to keep things stable. He wanted to make sure the Mughal Empire stayed strong. He tried to improve the way the government worked and build good relationships with local leaders. This helped the Mughal Empire stay present in many areas. During his time, art and culture grew a lot. Bahadur Shah. He loved poetry, music, and learning. He invited many poets, musicians, and scholars to his court. This made his court a lively place where creativity thrived. It showed the rich culture of the Mughal Empire and also included different local traditions. This mix of cultures helped bring people together in the empire. Bahadur Shah. I also wanted to reduce fights between different religions. He supported both Hindus and Muslims. He wanted everyone to live together peacefully. This was very important for keeping the Mughal Empire strong for a long time. Bahadur Shah. He was a different kind of leader compared to his father, Aurangzeb, and grandfather, Shah Jahan. Aurangzeb was known for being strict about religion and for expanding the empire through wars. In contrast, Bahadur Shah wanted to bring people together. He believed in understanding and accepting the different cultures and religions in his empire. He wanted to bring back the Mughal tradition of art and kindness, which had been lost during Aurangzeb's time. Shah Jahan is famous for building beautiful monuments like the Taj Mahal. However, Bahadur Shah didn't focus on building big structures. Instead, he wanted to make sure his government worked well for everyone. He understood that to keep his empire strong, he needed to listen to the different people living in it. Bahadur Shah. I showed that talking and working together was better than fighting. He wanted to create a peaceful society where everyone could live together. This was a big change from the way Aurangzeb ruled. Bahadur Shah. He was an important Mughal emperor. He believed in unity and accepting different cultures. This was a big change for the Mughal Empire. His rule showed that including everyone could help the empire stay strong and successful. Future emperors like Jahandar Shah and Farrukh Siyar tried to follow Bahadur Shah's example. They saw that being kind to people of all religions and backgrounds could help them be better leaders. The Mughal Empire, which used to have strict rules, started to embrace new ideas about different communities, thanks to Bahadur Shah. But not every emperor stuck to these ideas. As time went on, some leaders faced challenges and began to ignore Bahadur Shah's teachings. This caused problems within the empire. When emperors didn't follow Bahadur Shah's way, they often had to deal with unhappy people and even rebellions. Bahadur Shah's influence was very important. It set a standard for what future emperors should do. Those who remembered his lessons had a better chance of keeping peace in the empire. Bahadur Shah II's reign, though brief, showcased his commitment to cultural inclusivity and religious harmony during a tumultuous period for the Mughal Empire. His efforts to forge alliances with Rajputs and Sikhs reflected his vision for a united empire. Despite the challenges he faced, his advocacy for peace left a notable legacy. Following his death, the empire experienced further instability, but Bahadur Shah's approach to governance continues to resonate in the annals of Mughal history.